Perfect.
Hey,
Perfect. So, Jessica, how are you today?
I'm very good. I'm having a really great week.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Great to know. So, welcome to the show. It is so cool and awesome and amazing to have someone as awesome as you for today. So, before we start, I have to give you an epic welcome. If you have seen some of my episodes before, you know exactly what I'm about to do. If not, that's fine. Let me show you that. There you go. There you go. We're gonna have live audience at some point. You know, we're just starting. You know, it's a small operation, so you know.
Happy to be here.
Perfect. So, starting with the whole interview now, tell me how your acting career started.
So I started acting when I was 15 years old. My first experience was in a music video.
Oh, okay.
A battered child.
Mm.
So it was actually like a complex character, even though I had nothing to say.
Oh.
And that emotional richness lit me up, and I basically knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Fantastic. That is amazing. And what were some of the challenges that you can remember when you started with your acting career?
I think the biggest challenge is to properly learn the craft. To really be good at this skill that is acting. So that was a challenge for me. Another challenge for me was, well, I think for anybody who's starting out, but for me, so I'm French. French is my first language.
Yeah.
But I'm bilingual. So when I was younger, I was getting auditions in both languages.
Oh, cool.
And my English wasn't like perfect or great at the time. So in terms of comprehension, it's so important for you to really understand your sides when you audition. So, you know, like every detail is a detail for you to work on. So if you're not grasping those details, you're lacking in your performance. So for my challenges, for sure.
Wow. Now, your career goes way back since the 90s, and we will see you in projects such as Lassie, Beauty Begins Inside, Matchusalem 2. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but tell me, what are some of the highlight moments that you can remember from those projects?
So, Lassie was my first recurring guest star. So that was super exciting. It was also my first experience working with animals, obviously, Lassie.
Yeah.
In the show, I played the original owner of Lassie before she went to the boy. So, I mean, it was just really interesting to work with an animal because it's different. They have to prep you for a scene when there's an animal there. You know, it's not just one animal. Usually they have like a couple that they, you know, switch around. So that was a really interesting process for me to learn how to work with or film with an animal in the scene.
Yeah, totally. Plus you work with Lassie, that's like super cool, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like the dream from every kid back in the day.
Right.
So cool. Now in 2003 you were in 11 Somerset. Tell me about your character, but also about that show.
Yeah. So 11 Somerset was one of the biggest show I've ever, like, for me as an actor. I was the lead on that. I had 40 days out of 45 of shoot, and it was all on the nothing in studio. So we were constantly traveling and working. And on top of that, we shot the show bilingual, which is crazy.
Wow, okay.
We would do like a setup for a shot, and we would shoot it in French, usually first, or in English. And then we would just keep the same shot and do the same script in French. And then like camera change.
Wow.
You know,
okay.
We had all the footage in both languages. They edited 2 shows, one in French, one in English. So the French one was in Quebec and the English one was in English Canada. And I think it made it to Australia as well. So 11 Somerset was a huge experience for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the fact that you got it like in 2 languages, that must have been like a very, of course, hectic experience, but at the same time very very amazing for the fact that you learned so many stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So fulfilling. And we had CGI on the show. So I worked a lot with like green screens and, you know, like sort of little things like that.
Yeah.
Really a cute show. It was, you know. So funny enough, I look really young for my age. So in that show, I was 20 playing a 13-year-old.
Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying this because if ever you're afraid of like age gaps and stuff, like don't be. You know, like you can be older and play younger. You could be younger and play older. You know, no need to put yourself in a box.
Yeah, totally. I can understand that. I have a friend of mine that he's my age, but he looks like 12, 13-year-old. So every now and then I will be making jokes about how puberty hasn't reached, you know,
Right.
reached in yet, because he looks like so young. And whenever we'll go like someplace, they will always ask for his ID every time.
Story of my life.
Yeah, so funny. Cool. And in 2004, you won an award for Best Canadian First Feature, which is really cool. But tell me about that experience.
So the movie won Best First Canadian Feature at the Toronto International Film Festival.
Okay.
So the movie, it's a French Canadian film. It's called in French La Peau Blanche. In English, it was called White Skin, and it was like a sort of like horror. It's a horror film, but it's a film d'auteur, which means like it's sort of it's, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a commercial film.
Okay.
More of an indie horror film.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Daniel Roby is the film director of the film, and he did an outstanding job. And his film won Best First Canadian Feature at the Toronto International Film Festival.
That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah, I still hear about this film. Like, it's sort of a cult film in a way. Yeah, it was so fun for me to play. A fun story in that film, I had to get my whole half a body cast. So I had like literally them molding me.
Okay.
Like this chest all the way to my torso, because I don't want to give anything away, but we needed a dummy of me in the film. So that was cool. For the first time I worked with that sort of like that process of getting molded into something else.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I've heard that it takes hours, right? That it takes like a lot of hours for you to get super still, so you can have like that mold.
When they do your face, it's like you're inside a box, you know. So you have little, I think, straws up your nose.
Yeah.
But you're in the dark for a bit. Yeah.
That's so crazy. And I bet that whenever like that process is over, and then they remove like you will like all the lights back up, it feels like super. I mean, you will be blind for a while, right?
Well, I think what's the coolest thing is when they like pull out the mold and then start like adding hair and makeup. So
absolutely, yeah, it's so creepy. Yeah.
And like costume, they double your costume so that the doll can have your costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, absolutely. How cool is that? And like, tell me, like, how you usually, or what are some of the techniques that you do in order to prepare, but also to play a character?
So my prep goes like this. I usually read either the script if I'm given the or the sides if I'm just given the sides. Like, I read it multiple times, and then I start writing down all the information about my character.
Yeah.
What I think of myself, what other characters are saying about me, any sort of details, you know, about my character, all the circumstances. I write that down. Once I've got a good grasp of that, then I start looking into backstory, because that start getting like into like very interesting elements of a personality and a character. Yeah. So you start working on the backstory, and then you start working on your relationships with your characters, and then after that, I work on my justifications. So, you know, like, you have obstacles. How are you going to get through to them? And your justifications need to be not only like intellectual, like logical in that way, they also need to be emotional. So that's final, like, that's the actor's work, where it's like moments need to be opened up and felt before even thought. So that's like that's when you get into like really good deep work, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a whole different process, right? Because I think that for some people, acting would be like, and I've said it before, that probably for some people it's like, you learn your lines, that's it, and you get to go. But you can tell, like, whenever there's a performance on a movie or a TV show, if there's not like a very more intimate work with the character itself, you don't feel connected. You know, you don't feel like this relation. You will have like this cardboard character, let's say. But there are some times that they work really well on this character, that you really care about that character as long as the movie or the show is, you know.
I think what's interesting is that when an actor really delves into that work, they can transform in different characters.
Totally.
Don't see the same actor again and again and again. We're discovering, like, we know that face, but we're discovering the inner works of that actor depending on the role. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's cool to see actors play like different characters and really like lose themselves. Like, you don't that actor anymore, you just see the role.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I also think that like that transition, once you put it on screen, I mean, sometimes they can really change some people's life. You know what I mean? Because of that deep of how that deep, or how or like how many emotions they put into that character. You know?
Yeah, of course.
That's amazing. That's an amazing process. Now, after you moved to Toronto, Ontario, you furthered your acting career. You trained at the Pro Actors Lab and booked roles on Being Human, Satisfaction, and Hannibal, which is really cool. But tell me about those projects, but also about your performances that you did.
So it's really funny because I don't know how it happened, but I was like just thinking about roles like I'd love to play.
Yeah.
And, just like a wild girl that I love. So I'm a big Robert Rodriguez fan. And so, for example, the movie From Dusk Till Dawn, Salma Hayek plays a vampire stripper. And I literally one day was like, I have to play a vampire stripper one day. And I kid you not, like the following week I had an audition for Being Human to play a vampire stripper.
Okay.
I just remember I taped, because that one was going to Montreal, so I taped for that from Toronto, and then I got a call back, so I went to Montreal to my callback.
Yeah.
And this is also a good story for ladies. When I went to my callback, the girls there were stunning, like stunning. I was like, okay, I don't have a chance here. And then, funny enough, the scene required you to like obviously act and dance a little bit. And as it turns out, when I got the part, production told me, like, you were literally the only one that can dance and act at the same time. These girls were having a hard time dancing and acting at the same time, you know? And so, you know, like, don't compare yourself to others. Go in your best. That's all. But yeah, so that's the story. I got the part, and I shot the episode in Montreal.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. And I think that, I mean, that's a very cool story, because nobody here can, I mean, the fact that you were like a vampire stripper, that's badass.
It's so cool.
Totally. That's so cool. And like, from all of your characters that you have played at the moment, tell me, what are some of the ones that you enjoy the most playing, besides the vampire stripper, of course?
Of course. I do love playing like strong, like, I wouldn't say evil because I'm such a sweet girl. It feels so good.
Yeah.
I love strong characters, like badass girls. I like, you know, like La Peau Blanche, White Skin was that. Like a lot. I played this show for 4 years in Quebec. This show called and I played this sort of like very like strong, you know, bad.
Yeah.
I enjoy playing those roles because they're very different from who I am as a person. I'm very kind and sweet every day, you know, like, so it's just this part of me that I have, that I don't, you know, sort of exploit. And I get to with film and TV. So it's amazing.
Yeah. And I also think that sometimes it can be like a little therapeutic, right?
Oh yeah, totally, for sure. but it can also be hard. So for example, Human, when I played a vampire stripper, you know, my scene with one of the lead actors of the show, super respectful. He was so kind, you know, amazing. But then we did have another scene where it was sort of a master, where we discover my character was named Sadie. Sadie comes out and does a dance. And of course, the room was filled with extras. There was like, the show was like 9-1, 9 males to 1 female in the crowd. And, you know, I like legitimately, like I had clothes on, it's all good, but I had to perform. And, you know, like it wasn't easy, even though like, hey, you know, I love acting and stuff. Like it did get to me a little bit, where when I came home and I showered, I was like, wow, like kind of a newfound respect for strippers. Like it's not easy to be like stalked out by like, you know, all these men.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, you discover things. It's not all fun and games, you know, like you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm okay. I can make the separation between my work and my life. So. Yeah,
but as you said, I mean, the fact that you can learn so many things with by the fact that you're gonna play a character, that is so cool, you know. That is really amazing. I mean, and also as you just said, you get the chance to be like on the other side of the coin and kind of experience a little bit, even if it is acting, but still you experience that feeling that some people has like every single day, you know.
100%.
That's amazing. Now, shortly after you moved to LA. So tell me, what are some of the challenges that you had when you moved to a new city, new country, to continue your acting career?
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, LA is very challenging, but nevertheless, so inspiring and incredible in the same token. Coming here, it was about getting all this sort of like material, like getting my material together. That was like an American package, you know, because I was Canadian actress, so shooting with American photographers, reworking my demo, trying to find representation here. You know, I had my Canadian agent, she had some connections, but I always urge this, like to go after, you know what I mean? You want that agent, you want that class, you want that photographer, like, you know, if you have the connections, great. If not, go for it. Like there's in the US, we have a couple of casting sites. You can submit yourself, do it. I've gotten roles here submitting myself. Yeah, and they weren't small projects.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it is challenging, but at the same time, I mean, if you're like following your passion, it can get to a point in which it's easier, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. The process gets easier.
Challenging. Yeah.
One thing that we skipped on is when you first start your career, rejection.
Yeah, totally.
Something you definitely need to work on. So it's something that you quickly realize a lot of, and you need to work around it, because it's going to be there the whole time.
Yeah.
So definitely something you can work on, you know, understanding that there's a lot of rejection and that shouldn't stop you from getting what you want.
Yeah, totally. Wow. Now, you studied improv at UCB and trained at the Achilles Studio. So tell me, what are some of the things that you learned during that training process?
So I'd never done improv before, and improv is really big here in the US with comedy. So it was really interesting for me. Improv is all about being in the moment, listening, and answering, which is huge for acting. To just be in the moment, be receptive, you know, because it's all improv.
Yeah.
So you have to really listen and really respond. You have to be quick. So that really is a great exercise, improv. And then Deborah Aquila is like the most incredible woman I've ever met. She's the best teacher I've ever had. And so I've learned a lot class about like that last aspect I was telling you about, that emotional vacation. That I think is like, I'm working on that hard right now, to really just like have more like just better performances.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
She's incredible.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And what would you say it's an important aspect for storytelling?
So for storytelling, I think it's all about connection. It's all about connecting. As a writer, you want to connect to your audience.
Totally.
As an actor, you want to connect with your who you're working with, your other actor. So that's the connection you want to give to allow the writer or storyteller to connect with his audience.
Yeah,
so it's
totally.
all about connections. We all want to connect. That's why we love film so much, because we connect, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can agree on that totally. And what advice could you give to those who recently started acting?
So again, I will say, just work on the craft. That's the most important. Don't worry about your looks too much. Don't worry about what you don't have, which classes you've taken, your demo's not ready yet. Just get good at the craft, because you will always have it.
Totally.
You will always have a seat at the table if you're good. People will care. This is acting. So this is the skill you want to have and you want to master. Everything else is, things you can work on later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Currently as well, but I really do think the most important thing in acting is the craft.
Yeah, I can agree on that too. Now, if you could describe your acting career at the moment in a movie, TV show, what would be the title of it?
So it's really funny because I just started watching that show this week. Emily in Paris.
Okay.
It's on Netflix, and an American girl that ends up in Paris. And so I'm very much the opposite of that. I'm Jessica in Los Angeles right now, which is a French girl in LA, in America. Trying to make it. So
That's so amazing.
Jessica.
And would it be like a comedy or a dramedy? And would it be like 3 movies or only 1?
So I'm a huge fan of drama. I love emotional richness. So it's a very cute sort of comedy series. Yeah, but no, I would say my strength and my preference is towards drama.
There you go. Okay. All right. Then if at some point you're gonna make this movie, just you can come back here and be like, I got a title already,
There we go.
There you go. Now, what can we expect from Jessica in the future?
So I right now I'm working on my materials. I want to do forth between Canada and the US. I want to not neglect any markets. So next year, now that the pandemic is slowly I should say the industry is slowly rebooting, I definitely want to have a presence in Canada as well as in the US.
Wow. Okay.
And my dream for one day is to be also to have a presence in France, so in Europe. Again, French is my first language, so I would love to work there as well. So my dream, and I'm working towards it.
That's so amazing. If at some point there's any French producer who is watching this, who lives in France, you know who to call.
Voila.
And my last question here. Any movie or TV show that you could recommend for this weekend?
Well, I saw Dune at Warner Brothers 2 weekends ago, I think. Yeah, 2 weekends ago I saw Dune at Warner Brothers. And it was absolutely epic. It's one of the best movies out there. It's incredible.
There you go.
Also, the film director is French Canadian. He's from Montreal as well. Such an amazing film director.
Yeah.
And he literally just blew it out of the park with this one. And just like that, they announced Dune 2 coming out. Yeah. So, because at the time, Warner Brothers, and he was there, they were doing a Q&A. He said he didn't know yet if he could do a second. They weren't greenlit. Yeah. Now they are.
That's so amazing. That's amazing. Jessica, what can I say at the end? It is really cool. It is so cool what you do. The fact that you have done yeah, like the fact that I mean, you come like a long way now. You started your career in Canada, then right now in the US. Soon, I'm super sure we will see you in these big franchises and also in some movies filmed in Europe. I mean, you are basically killing it here. That is really cool. And also, like you, I mean, you are kind of living proof that you moved to another country in order to pursue your dream. And that, I mean, that takes like a lot of courage. So because of that, that's really cool of you. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, if I could describe your career, I would only say this. It is really cool. Keep doing what you do. I mean, you are really making a difference here, and that is super important. And also, you inspire people. And I think inspiration is what we need, especially in those crazy hectic days. So the fact that you're doing it, that's really cool. Keep what you do. Don't never fall or don't ever think that you are not good enough, because you're basically killing it here. And also, I want to thank those who are watching. If you're watching this later on YouTube or listening to this later on the podcast, make sure that you're following Jessica and all over social media. Normally, what I would say is for you to put pause, hydrate, and then go follow Jessica. Leave a million likes. Share, spread the word that we have this amazing talented actress here. Share all the work here, and then come back. And again, Jessica, thank you so much. Before I send you off, I need to send you off in a very proper, epic, badass way. So, there you go.
Thank you.
Keep having an amazing rest of the day, an amazing weekend, an amazing upcoming week, and nothing but amazing things to you, because you are a rock star here. So
you as well, sir.
Thank you.
As well.
I'll see you in the next one, okay?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.